You ready?
Yeah.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of The Dig, a series dedicated to helping you improve profitability on your farm.
We're switching things up here a little bit, and we're gonna be splitting up our videos into smaller pieces. So this is gonna be part one of a two-part series on water management.
Let's dig in!
Colin, got a question for you. What is the greatest curse, but also the greatest blessing that we deal with in agriculture?
I'd say the John Deere 4020 is the biggest blessing. Biggest curse, though, is we have to continue to throw much money at it.
Well, I can see that a little bit, but we also all know the 1066 is the greatest tractor of all time, not the 4020.
You really want to do this right now?
No, we better not. We don't have time for that.
You're right.
now,
We don't
so.
have time for that. Don't start that.
The answer I was looking for was water.
That makes sense. You know, water is one of those things that we pray about when we need it, but then curse when we get too much.
And that's why this episode is all about water management, getting rid of it and adding it back when we need it the most.
See here. All right. You want to increase value on your land and improve profitability at the same time? Then I've got a product for you. Look no further than tile.
Colin, that was one heck of a sales pitch you had there.
Thank you.
But we can't just tell everyone to add tile, right?
That is true.
We have to back it up with some numbers. So let's take a look at our London, Ohio farm. We have 5 years of tile spacing data on corn and 7 years on bean. But before we jump in, I want to point out that the Ohio farm has some pretty tight clays, right? They tend to stay on the wetter side. But what you'll notice when we start looking at the data is the addition of tile, no matter the spacing, was extremely beneficial here. When looking at the graph, you might think that there really isn't much difference between any of those spacings, and you'd be right. But once we average it out over those 5 years, the spacings are all very similar when it comes to yield. Last year's data caused a little bit of a shift on those numbers though. So if we look at the previous 4 years, we average about 2.5 bushel better on the 30-foot spacing over the 50-foot. So as we add more data points, I believe we'll see some more separation between the 30s and 50s again.
Now, we all know that soybeans don't like wet feet. Tile will benefit the bean crop just as much as it does on corn. 7 years of data from the same London, Ohio farm suggests that 30-foot spacing is ideal. At this location, when trying to maximize yields on the soybean crop, just like we saw on corn, the addition of tile, no matter the spacing, provided great benefit. We aren't just doing tile research in Ohio though, we're also doing it in Effingham, Illinois. It's a little different over in Illinois though, because we aren't just looking at tile spacing, we're also looking at tile depth. 2 different depths, 3 different spacings, 2 crops, and multiple years of data means we've got a lot of work to do here. So bear with us as we dig in.
Dig in. Nice one. I see what you did there.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were just joking around. Okay, let's start with soybean data. Well, you'll notice that we have 24 and 36 inch depths with 15, 30, and 60-foot spacings at each depth. Based off of the data, 15-foot spacing at a 36-inch depth is going to maximize our yields, averaging a 10.2 bushel advantage over the no tile. At the 24-inch depth, we get the most yield gain from our 30-foot spacing, getting us 8 bushels.
We're not just talking about beans here though. We've got data for corn too. Yep. Contrary to beans, we get the best yield gains from our tile at 24 inches deep instead of 36, and at 15-foot spacing. One thing to note here is we don't lose much yield by going to 30-foot spacing. There's gonna be half the amount of tile to buy and install. Now, if you do wanna go 36 inches deep with your tile, then 15-foot spacing is the way to go on corn as well. You'll notice the yield advantages start to drop pretty quickly as we go to wider tile runs at that 36-inch depth.
So, looking at all this data, what's your recommendation for, say, a farmer wanting to add tile to his farm?
Well, we don't really have a specific recommendation, to be honest with you. However, you can look at our data, make decisions for yourself based off of our results, but I will give one recommendation. That is to take a very serious look at doing some tile drainage, because no matter what the spacing is, we see benefits. If you're doing tile work on your own farm, comment below and let us know what kind of spacings and depths you're running, because we're genuinely curious to know. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow, and we'll see you again on another episode of
The Dig.
Can you just pick me up and sit me down in that?
We will need probably help, and we will need help getting them off. This is actually a disaster. My pants are ripped. Yeah, let's not do this so my pants don't rip anymore. I forgot I wore the ripped pants. Just take a socks off me.
We got plenty to use.
Okay.